Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual Mishnah Berurah share. We are holding in Mishnah Berurah Chelik Hey, Samach Ches Samach Beis. We're in the middle of Hilchos Pesach. We are in Siman Taf Samach Vav, and we begin today with Seif Hey on the top line of Samach Ches Samach Beis. Says the Mechaber, Hatal, do, Machmitz, has the ability to initiate the chimutz process. It will cause leavening, and it will cause a dough to become chametz. Says the Mishnah Berurah, and Eis Katan Chav Beis, Hatal. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Kalhani de Machmitzin. All of these different liquids, when we say that they have the ability to cause chimutz, what does that mean? Hainu imsha b'loy esek shir chimutz. That is, if we leave the dough after it's been exposed to this kind of liquid, if we leave it for the share of chimutz, if we leave it for a share mill for 18 minutes, it can become chametz. It's no less than water. We know that if you expose flour to water, as long as you work the dough, we've said it cannot become chametz. So to any of these other beverages, any of these other liquids like dew, if you work the dough is not going to be able to become a chametz. Says the Mechaber weiter, back on the top in the Shulchan Aruch on Samach Ches Samach Beis, V'chein mei raglayim, so too urine has the ability to cause chimutz. Umei hapeh, or saliva that emanates from the mouth, can also cause chimutz. V'hachotem, or mucus from the nose, can cause chimutz. V'ha'ayin, tears from the eyes can cause chimutz. V'ha'oizen, also some type of a mucus that emanates from the ears. All of these kind of bodily fluids have the ability to cause chimutz. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut Chav Gimel, v'chein mei raglayim. When we speak of urine, says the Chavetz Chaim, hainu de adam. We're speaking about human urine, bein shehu gadol, bein shehu katan, whether from an adult or from a child. Aval de behema. However, when it comes to urine of an animal, ushar balei chayim, or other creatures, other animals, yesh deos ben haposkim in machmitz. Over there is dispute amongst the poskim whether or not they cause chimutz. And the Sharitzia and the Chavetz Chaim and Sharitzia and Katan Samach Beis says the mistimas hamechaber, from the fact that the Mechaber mentioned mei raglayim and he didn't differentiate, and he didn't say anything about a behema. So over there, the Chavetz Chaim says mashma, the implication for the Mechaber is the sasam ka arches chayim, that he's ruling like the arches chayim or ben Yeruchim the machmitz, that it does cause chimutz. However, there are others that disagree. Says the Mishnah Berurah in this saliva from the mouth or mucus from the nose, bein shel adam, whether from a human, bein shel shar balei chayim, or whether from other animals, and they could all call chimutz. The rationale for all of these fluids that they can cause chimutz, because all of these, they are generated ultimately from water. They all come. The ultimate source of all of these liquids is water. They have a kamayim, and therefore halachically they are treated like water. Says the Mechaber weiter, the last line. Actually, we're going now into the Ramah. Aval dam, but when it comes to blood, v'chalav or milk, v'zeas adam or the perspiration of a human, einay machmitz, these cannot cause chimutz. Says the Mishnah Berurah Katan Chav Hey, aval dam, blood, v'hu adin demei hamora, or bile. Gam kein ein machmitzin, these are fluids that do not cause chametz. Davu kedam v'leicha serucha, because bile would be similar to blood, and it is, Chavetz Chaim says, leicha serucha. It is some kind of serucha, usually means spoiled, decomposed. It's not a liquid that can cause chimutz. And theoretically, even though we would never do this, but I guess there was such a thing extant in those times, theoretically, there was some kind of dough that they would make out of these fluids that had medicinal value. So theoretically, you could do that. When we speak about dam, the Dirshu in footnote 29 points out, avalim rakak dam. Let's say somebody had a bleeding gum and he expectorated from his mouth some dam, that came out from between his teeth. Yaakov says shehu machmitz, that dam would have the capacity to cause chimutz. Because certainly this is not dam alone. Since it emanated from the mouth, the assumption is that there's at least a minute amount of saliva mixed in with that dam. Well, therefore, Kasava Prima Godim, the Prima Godim writes, Shadina who if somebody expectorated some blood from his mouth, we would assume that that is mixed with together with saliva. So the dam would have a din of mei peros, and the saliva would have a din of mayim. And now we would be faced with a case where some flour was mixed with a combination of mei peros and mayim, which we said actually accelerates the chimus process. Says the Chavetz Chaim b'kamatz. You should make sure to read this properly. It's v'chalav, which means milk, not v'chelev, which would mean forbidden fats. So it says the Chavetz Chaim, should be read v'chalav. V'hu adin chelev b'tzereh. However, the same din would apply to chelev, that it is also not machmitz like mayim. V'chein shuman, and also permissible fats. The bottom line is that fat is not like mayim. Fat would constitute mei peros. Afilu roiseach v'tzolol, even if it's hot and clear. So it's a real clear liquid. It's still not like mayim. It doesn't have the capacity to cause chimutz that mayim does. It would have a din of mei peros. The choshike nikrash, certainly if it's congealed, it cannot cause chimutz. The rationale for all of these liquids, all of these fluids that we say that they do not cause chimutz, because these have a din of mei peros, and they do not cause chimutz. You might wonder, why do we have to mention the din of chelev, the din of forbidden fats, and the din of dam, the din of blood, whether or not they have the capacity to cause chimutz? They're usher anyway. You're not allowed to eat dam, you're not allowed to eat chelev. I said it's a krisus. So why do we have to mention that it's not able to cause chimutz? Nevertheless, there is a difference whether or not they can cause chimutz, because batel b'shishim, because the dam or the chelev, those are dvarim isurim, those are prohibited substances that are batel b'shishim. If you have 60 times the mutter, the heter mixture against a minute amount of dam or against a minute amount of chelev, then the dam and the chelev would be batel in the mixture. But chametz isn't batel even be'elef. So we have to mention this din, because let's say a very minute amount of dam that normally, as far as dam is concerned, it would be batel, or a very minute amount of chelev that would normally be batel, fell in and got mixed in with flour. So as far as the iser chelev or the iser dam, we would say it's not problematic because it's batel. But as far as the iser chametz, if it has the capacity to cause chimutz, now chametz is not batel afilu be'elef. So in that context, it wouldn't be batel. The Mishnah Berurah says, "V'zeyas adam," the perspiration of a human. V'zeyas behema. How about the perspiration of a behema, the perspiration of an animal? Ayin la'el b'simin taf nun gimel says zayin of a Mishnah Berurah sham. He points us back to what we learned earlier in taf nun gimel. And what he's referring to is, we spoke over there when you're transporting the sacks of flour from where they are stored to where the matzah will be needed. The Mechaber said, when you're transporting the sacks of flour from the mill and you're bringing it to the place where you're going to make the matzahs, the Mechaber said also, of tachas hasak, you should not put them on a bare-backed animal. You should make sure that there's a thick saddle or a saddle cloth on top of the animal. And the Mishnah Berurah over there said, because if you put the sacks of flour directly on the back of the animal, the heat of the animal will heat up the flour, and that will accelerate the chimutz process of any dough that is needed from that flour. Then the Mishnah Berurah said, the animal perspires heavily from carrying the load. The efsher, and it's possible, there are those that do hold that the perspiration of an animal causes chimutz the same way mayim does. So this is what the Mishnah Berurah is referring us back to in Taf Nun Gimel, where he mentioned that there is the possibility that the perspiration of a behema does cause chimutz, where the perspiration of a human does not. Continues the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut and chav zayin on the bottom line. V'tzaya, as far as excrement, bein the adam, bein the shar balachayim, whether of a human or other living creatures. Ein machmetz, excrement does not cause chimutz. Well, therefore, if you have a sack of flour that somehow became dirtied, it became soiled from excrement, you could sift out the flour to remove whatever might have been exposed and gotten moistened from that excrement. The dafka b'tsoya, you can only use this eitzah when it comes to excrement. But if it's some kind of a diarrheal, I'm looking for the proper English word. It's not coming to me. I'm sorry. If it's more of a diarrheal excrement, if it's very, very loose, and therefore it's closer to watery, it's very, very fluid. It's possible that that actually has the din of meraglayim, and the bir halacha earlier in Sif Hey in Dibra Maskal v'chein meraglayim, this very lengthy bir halacha does discuss this question at length. What would the din be of a very, very loose stool? Does that have a din of excrement that cannot cause chimutz, or does it have the din of meraglayim, which can? Let's say you find a kernel of wheat in the excrement of an animal. Even if it's softened, we do not say that kernel of wheat became chametz, because excrement does not have the ability to cause chimutz. It sounds strange that we're even discussing this, but the truth is that this also has a place in halacha. You never know what situation somebody finds himself in. I remember reading an amazing story about the Klosterberger Rebbe during the war, where it was coming to Pesach time, and the Klosterberger Rebbe was hoarding fuel to burn and hoarding water, and he kept on saying, because we're going to have to bake matzahs for Pesach. It was in one of the camps where they could get away with or at least try to get away with such a thing. And the people asked him, where on earth are you getting flour from to make matzah for Pesach? And then they were sent on a work detail. And while they were on this work detail, they chanced upon a couple of boxcars on a railway. And when they went into the boxcars, they found sacks of flour. And he managed to make a matzah from this flour. So you never know what kind of situation you find yourself in. And there definitely have been times in the history of Klal Yisrael that Rosh Hashanah should protect everybody from such times. But terrible, terrible poverty. And I guess the truth is, if you ever looked at the galal of a behemoth, the excrement of an animal, of a behemoth gasa, one of the things that you'll notice is that there's a lot of material within the excrement of an animal that's not fully digested. So it's not strange at all to think that you would actually find whole kernels of grain within the excrement of an animal. So he's pointing out to us that excrement is not machmitz, and therefore we don't have to assume that these kernels of grain are chametz. Ois cotton chaf ches, we said these things einay machmitz. Points out the Mishnah Berurah, hinehem shavim kulam, all of these things that the Mechaber mentioned that do not cause chimutz, dam, chalav, ze'asodam, hinehem shavim kulam lozeh, they're all the same in the context of she'enei machmitz kishehu lavado, that they do not cause chimutz when they are the only fluid, the only liquid that the flour has been exposed to. However, there is a critical difference between chalav and the rest of these liquids. The chalav, v'chein chelev v'shuman v'dam, because milk and also chelev, forbidden fats, or shuman, permissible fats, v'dam, and blood, dinoi k'mei peros l'kulei alma. Those liquids all have the din of mei peros. V'im mayim, and if they should be mixed together with water and then mixed into flour, mimaher lahachmitz, they actually would accelerate the chimutz process, and they would cause flour and the resultant dough that they were mixed into to become chametz even faster than a sheer mill, even faster than 18 minutes. But the human perspiration, the chetzaya, or also excrement, of all animals, those cannot cause chimutz at all. However, there are those who rule stringently even in this context. Okay, a little bit of an abbreviated share today. I have to say a lengthy share tonight. I'm going to be having a live Zoom meeting this evening. It's my weekly Tehillim share that I usually give in Edison Highland Park in New Jersey. I'm doing it tonight on Zoom, and tonight the topic actually is not going to be Sefer Tehillim, but rather I'm going to be speaking about the happenings of these last several weeks, everything that's been going on with this COVID-19 crisis. Try to give a little bit of a Torah perspective on it, answer some of the questions that people may have. If you're interested in joining and you would like to have the Zoom information to join, drop me a line on Facebook. You can put it into the comments. It'll be 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. YouTube also, you can reach out to me and I will try to provide the information. Thank you so much for joining me for this Torah learning. The Schus of Limud Torah should stand Gans Klal Yisrael in good stead. Everybody should have a wonderful rest of their day. Be well.